them, but that's how the legend goes that he told David that weekend, right, Molly?
It was. I did.
Did you really?
I
So
did.
at 13 years old, because that reminds me of the story. I used to be a member of Word of Faith. And so Bishop Bronner says that at 15 years old, he went into the closet and he prayed for his wife. And I'm like, most 15-year-olds just aren't even that mature. So at 13, you spotted her and you told your friend, oh, that's going to be my wife.
Yeah. And here we are.
The power of manifestation. And see, people don't think it's real. You got to speak. That's why I got an altar over here for marriage, because I am manifesting that my husband, I'm manifesting my Boaz. So see, it does work. So for all y'all out there who don't think it works, manifestation is real. All right. So y'all met then, you're on the ski trip. And so then what happens after that?
So we lived in the same neighborhood. We had never met, but we were living in the same neighborhood, just a few blocks from each other. Molly's dad was a Harlem Globetrotter, and so everybody knew. I call him Big Mel. Family called him Big Mel because Molly was Little Mel there, and but everybody knew Mel Davis, the Globetrotter. He had basketball camp. So my brother and Molly went to the same school. They rode the school bus together. I was at a different elementary school. My brother had attended Big Mel's basketball camps and everything. And so my best friend knew that I liked Melvin. And then, so she arranged for us to meet at the park where he would play basketball, and or at the library. What, did we meet at the library at Jeffrey Manor?
Library.
The library. But what's interesting is
that also a studious fellow.
He's always with studious fellow, that's for real. But what's interesting is that our mothers already knew each other. They, for a minute had gone to the same beautician down the street, my best friend's grandmother, who did hair in the back of her house. And so, we had all these connections already. And so, we started talking on the telephone and then started, like I said, going together.
Okay. And so then you get to high school, and is it on or is it off?
On again, off again. On again
and off again.
Yeah. All the way, kind of all the way through. A lot of it for me was, maturity, young brother in Chicago, playing basketball, trying to figure out who I was. Same kind of conversations I have with my own sons.
Right.
Now it's just, you have to decide who you're going to be, and that'll lead you to who you should be with. Once you decide who are you, and so that, did I want to be a thug, because if I wanted to be a thug, I couldn't be with Janet Johnson, because she wasn't going for that. Did I want to be a player? She wasn't going for that. So there was all that, finding yourself. And I think brothers have to go through that, or tend to go through that maybe more than women do, or young ladies do.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we figured it out.
So both of you are HBCU graduates. And so
I went to the Naval Academy, but so the Naval Academy was where I attended, and Howard was where I went.
That's where he kicked it on the weekend.
Every weekend, and some unauthorized weekend evenings, weekday evenings as well. So, and then I had a master's degree from Bowie State, but I never set foot on campus. I did it virtually.
Okay.
That's his HBCU that he claims.
That's the one that he claims. And
I claim them all. Whenever Black folk gather is my space.
Well, and Jana went to the best one.
Yes,
hey.
Let's be clear about that.
Let's be clear.
And is a member of the best sorority.
That's right.
Clear.
That's right.
And so how did y'all finally get together as grown people?
So, we dated a little bit in college. At one point, Molly came down to FAM and was ready to get back together, but I was having too much fun at FAM. at that point.
The highest of 7 hits.
I'm having too much fun right now. And so it wasn't until, like I said, after we graduated, his mom had started an organization for young professionals called Chicago's Young Minority Role Models. And which was just a phenomenal organization. And we would have these different events, and sometimes Maoli would come home. He was stationed in Philadelphia. We never lost contact with each other. Even when we were, broken up, we remained friends. And so he came home to this one party, and we reconnected at the party. But then even then we were kind of like, well, I thought I was a businesswoman working at the Quaker Girls Company and everything. And I thought we might be too busy for a relationship then, but we just continued to talk. And then we got back together. And shortly after we got back together, about a month later, we said that we were going to get married. It just seemed like the natural next step for us. And
how old were you all then?
When we got engaged, 24. I was 25.
Okay. Yeah. And the reason that I ask is because, y'all, this generation that we have, now, that's a foreign concept for them. Everybody wants to be at least dirty 30 and over before they are even considering committed relationships for different reasons. They don't view marriage the same way that we viewed marriage, that our parents viewed marriage. And what I'm hopeful is that after this conversation, that will change the minds of some of the younger generation, that they understand and can learn to value and appreciate the institution of marriage and what it stands for. So, all right, so we know where the story began. So I've got a list of questions, and you all do not have these questions ahead of time. So just so everybody knows, they have no idea what I'm going to ask them. And some of these might make you pause and make you have to really think about them. But one that I think might be relatively easy is, what were some of your greatest challenges? And everybody be mindful that as individuals inside of a coupling situation, you don't always have the same perspective because you're two different people. And so what Jana sees as the challenges may not be what Marley sees as the challenges. They might be different challenges. So yeah, what were your greatest challenges?
Marley?
Time management, time together, and what was important. I think that is still a challenge. I'm married to the movement as well, and that makes decisions, and I think I can do everything, and so that creates tension, and so that I think has always been a challenge, is to how do you balance what you believe God put you on the earth to do, and spend time with the person you think God gave you to be with. You know what I mean? So it's a real tension, right? Because you think both of them are definitely on the spiritual level, but it's still a tension. It can change. You want to go to a reparations meeting, and she want to go to the movies. There's nothing wrong with the movies. It's just only so much time, and so that has been a challenge, an ongoing challenge. I think it's gotten better, but early on, I think it was pretty intense of a challenge.
I would agree. We are constantly seeking that balance in terms of our community commitments versus our family commitments. And my thing is that some folks, they'll just take and take and take as much as you allow them to. And so it's up to us, because the needs will always be there. And so, I'm always kind of reminding Maoli that, we just sometimes have to
just say no.
Yeah.
No is not a cuss word. It's all right to use it sometimes.
That's right. That's right. But that would probably be the, when the boys were young, when we were in Spain and I had Kobe, it was difficult because I was there. I had no family. I had C-section, and Maoli is in the graduate program. I started off in the graduate program with him, and then had Kobe halfway through and didn't finish. So he was in the graduate program. He was refereeing intramural basketball games, and then he was working as a full-time officer on the base. Mm-hmm. And so that was a particularly difficult time. And then I'd say then when the boys really got into basketball and Molly was their first coach and coached them for a long time, the basketball commitment became a whole nother thing on top of, our commitments to the community. And so it's always been the struggle.
Time.
Yep.
So how long were you all married before you had the first baby?
2 years, 2.5 years, about 2.5.
Mm-hmm. 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of times, when there is not a length of time that you spend together inside of marriage where you are still getting to know one another before you enter baby number one and then baby number two, it presents even more challenges because I call them, healthy, unhealthy distractions. Healthy in that it's a great thing having a baby. Unhealthy in that sometimes it takes you from the focus of what is it that we need to do to keep us together? Because now we having kids, we got careers going, we got all these different things. And for a lot of couples, what happens is they lose a sense of who they are as the union inside of the marriage because everything else becomes the focus.
But I will say that once we got back to the States, so Kobe was about 8 months when we got back to the States, we were always intentional about keeping a babysitter. Mm-hmm. And so I never feel like we stopped having fun. The two of us, both pregnancies were planned, we said, okay, we're going to, stop taking birth control here and then, start trying. And so we were very fortunate that, we were able to conceive, right away. But I think that and I always tell new couples that make sure you keep a babysitter, so we still went out and we like to have a good time. And so I think that was important to us in order to maintain the relationship and I guess the dating. You hear people say they're still dating their spouse, but we still continue to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think that dating your spouse is important. The same things you did to get them is the same stuff you need to be doing to keep them.
Yeah.
And not losing, the value of spending quality time and that everything else can't become the focus. Mm-hmm. And then even when you're dating, it's how do we date with intention so that we don't enter into our dating space, the finances, the children, and all that other stuff. I see some hand clapping over here. What does that mean, sir?
It's just, it's hard because what people I think don't realize is that marriage is a business also. So there is all of the management of a household, the management of a family, and the need, to just not that, have some time where that's not a part of anything. It's just, we just gonna chill. And it's a challenge, especially with me, because, Jana trying to find an open window to do family management. And then I'm really I need to just chill. Right. And then when that family management is inserted into that chill time, then it's like, damn, I can't chill. So that's a struggle. That's a real struggle. That's a tension. And that's a real tension because you want to be able to, I typically work probably 14 to 16 hours in terms of just, it's either law or movement work. And so by the time I get home, I'm like wiped.
Right.
And I'm not ready for another heavy, like another business conversation.
Right.
You know, Jana been doing her thing all day, but that's a part she's ready to deal with it, and I'm not. And so that's you know, that can be rough.
So let's talk about that, because when I work with couples, a lot of times the couples that come to the couch, the biggest concern is communication. And so one of the things that I will advise them is that sometimes you got to come up with a communication plan, because you are two individuals. Everything doesn't work the same for everybody at the same time. And so I can remember that, you know, I used to get accused of starting fights to avoid having sex. That was not true. That's not what I was doing, but that was the perception of my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would say, you know, we've gone on this trip, we've spent all this money, and now we come back and you want to talk about the fact that we've spent all this money on this trip, and you want to go run and get all the bills out of the mailbox, sit in the bed, and now you want to start talking about all the financial stuff. And so as a part of the communication plan, we had to stop talking about certain things in the bedroom and had to actually schedule time to have certain discussions. Now, did it always work? Absolutely not. Because, you know, depending on how passionate one spouse is about something, you know, you don't always abide by the communication plan. But that's one of the things that I recommend to the couples that I work with. So when it comes to when conflicts arise, how do y'all manage the conflicts? Because both of y'all seem so chill. Like, you know, I want, like, what are your birthdays? Because, you know, I'm into astrology, which, by the way, is a science for anybody out there who thinks it's witchcraft. It's not. It's an actual science. But both of y'all seem real even.
We,
Go ahead, Molly. Molly, do you freeze?
I may have frozen. Can you hear me now?
Well, we both are pretty. We both can be very passionate.
What are your birthdays?
Oh, January 11th.
Uh-huh.
April 14th.
Oh, Lord, a Capricorn and an Aries. Jesus.
Yes.
I'm going to take a sip on that.
Yes.
We get it. I mean, we go, when we go hard.
Woo,
You know,
what you say? I know I gave birth to a Capricorn, so I know, and I'm an Aries.
Yeah.
Yes.
We go hard. So,
yes.
I don't think you know, that's one of the areas that I would not want, you know, people to model from our relationship. Communication, you know, we haven't worked that out very well. You know, it's gotten better, much, much better. But I mean, that's a real weak spot for us.
As it relates
because
to
it usually,
escalate.
You know, we go high and hard, you know. There's certain zones that we stay out of, but
right.
It can get intense. It can get intense. Jana pretty fiery.
Right. But the thing about conflict is that, you know, it gets intense with most couples because one person wants one thing, the other person wants something else, and everybody's convicted to their beliefs. And so I think that, you know, as long as we ain't throwing blows, we ain't calling names, and we have an agreement where we say, you know what, we got to take a time out. Somebody calling a time out here, because if we keep going, it's going to be harder for us to recover from this. And I think that with maturity and certainly years of experience, you kind of learn to do that. You know, I grew up in a household where I could say, I don't remember my parents arguing. And if you know my father, you know that my father is a fusser. He wasn't fussing at us. He just fussed. He just walks through the house and just fusses about the dogs barking, it's raining, I ain't catch no deer today. And it sounds a lot like bitching and complaining. but it wasn't directed towards my mother, and it wasn't directed towards me, unless he was saying something about some grades or whatever he was saying. And so as a result, I can remember the first, real argument, and that Aries is passionate and was not as mature as she is today. So was gonna go for the jugular and might try to say some stuff to hurt your feelings, to get her point across. And I just thought for sure when that first one happened, oh my God, it's over. This ain't gonna work. This we done for, because I had not been exposed to my parents arguing. And I'm sure that I know they did. They just didn't do it in front of me. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't aware of it. Mm-hmm. And so I think being aware that is a challenging area is, is step number one, because y'all are doing something right. y'all doing a whole lot of somethings right. And so,
I think when things really have come to an impasse, then we've always been conscientious about it. The other thing we've maintained in terms of, in addition to a babysitter, has been a marriage counselor. Mm-hmm. And so, that is a resource that we have used, and I think has helped, throughout our relationship.
And I'm so glad to hear you all say that, because just like Molly said, that a marriage is a business, and I have this whole book where it talks about marriage as a business that I'm working on. And you have to, I also tell people, it's like a car. You got to do a tune-up at least once or twice a year. I don't care how long you've been married and how great you think the marriage is, because inside of every relationship, there are things that we don't share, or we try to shield and protect the other person from, and we try not to unload, and we try all these different things. And so as a result, you run the risk of developing some unresolved issues, some junk you just didn't talk about. So we talked about some of y'all's challenges. So now I want to talk about, what do you think your greatest accomplishments have been inside of the marriage? Because y'all got some accomplishments.
Our boys. Mm-hmm. Our boys, and even our oldest son wrecked my car yesterday. Like wrecked it, totaled my 2020, the car that I've been wanting since before I got, I've been wanting this car since I was at the Naval Academy. He got it, and while I'm away trying to deal with a health situation with my dad, and he calls me up, I messed up. It's like, okay, didn't know what that meant. And he totaled my car. So even despite that, they are our best. Yeah. They are our best, because they're good. I think they're gonna be good men. Right now, they're still, even though they're 23 or 21, they're still
trying to figure it out. Yeah.
But I think they are good people. I could see myself when I was their age. I could hang with them, that they could be one of my boys when I was, and that's important. I'm proud that, that we raised some young brothers that we would be cool with, and that I think are gonna do good things, when they get it all figured out. So that's me. That's what
I would add. Molly kind of alluded to this earlier. When we were right before we got married, the summer before we got married, we were at a conference, and author and I guess activist Haki Madhubuti, the conference was held at his school, one of his schools in Chicago, and he's also the founder of Third World Press in Chicago. But anyway, as we were leaving, we were so excited to see him in the parking lot, and we introduced ourselves, and Molly told him that we're getting ready to get married, and I said, did you ask him if he had any advice for us, or did he just offer that?
He just was like, build something together.
Build something together.
And he walked away.
But for several years, I was feeling, because when Molly started Davis Bozeman Law, I mean, when he started Molly Davis and Associates, when he first went out on his own, it was just the two of us. I was working in the office with him in this tiny office, and we were just back to back in that office. And then that presented some challenges, working together in that capacity, because there was never a cutoff. So I could still be in the bed, Molly's getting up, and he's giving me instructions a bit
Right.
about the
But
business.
always.
And so I decided which he had been encouraging me. I'd always wanted to be a teacher. You know, I graduated from the School of Business and Industry at FAM. I always wanted to be a teacher. You know? So I decided that, I'm gonna go ahead and start this journey towards getting my teaching certification. But I felt guilty when I left Maoli, because I was like, I'm not fulfilling this destiny that Haki Matabuti said that we should do. And I felt guilty about that. But Molly mentioned earlier that, and it came to me, a couple years ago, that we have been building community together. So when we were stationed in Spain, we started the national, not the National
African American Heritage Committee.
Thank
We
you,
were part of it.
We were part of it. We didn't start it, right? Right. But it grew once we got there. And then, other organizations that we have started together here, and which have, the folks in it have become family to us. And so that I'm very proud of the way that we have built community together within our marriage. In addition to Kobe and Kahari Davis.
Yeah, because you all have not really talked about your accomplishments and your professional accomplishments. How did you support each other in becoming who you were becoming as individuals? Because when you got a power couple here, and y'all are really a power couple, I'm calling this the Power Hour Conscious Coupling. And it's not about titles and status and that sort of thing, but y'all got some titles and status. And so when you are that conscious couple, how do you support the other person and not feel like you're losing a sense of who you are?
I just feel like Molly always has my back. And sometimes I can have a little self-doubt and negative talk going on up here. And he's just like my personal cheerleader. He just always has been able to convince me that I could do it. And I do, and so then as it relates to the practice, when he first, decided that he was start off at a big firm here in Atlanta, and decided that he wanted to start his own practice in criminal law, I was like, are there enough criminals that are going to be able to pay our mortgage? Like, I was like, how is that going to work? Do criminals have enough money to pay our bills and stuff? And so, so I was, that was my first thought, but, I know that Mauli can accomplish whatever he puts his mind to. I mean, literally. And so it has been a blessing. And I think that what has helped, in addition to our support of each other, is our family and community support of us. That has also made the difference in whatever success we feel we has really been because of our family and our community. When Molly first started practicing, some services were bartered. I mean, like there was African clothes that was paid for some criminal defense. But we never we never missed the mortgage payment. Now, we may have had a utility cut off once or twice.
Right. It might have got close to the mortgage not getting paid, but it didn't happen.
And so
we call those the lean years. So you had lean years. Yeah.
For sure. But I think that it hasn't been hard because I don't think we have had to do all the heavy lifting alone. Now you can.
Yeah. I you know, I never, all I remember, and I think it's important, the story that you tell yourself. I just remember telling Jana that I was going to start my own firm after leaving this big law firm where I was making six figures.
Mm.
And all I remember her saying was, okay. That's the story that I tell. And I say that, and I don't remember her saying, asking all of those questions.
I don't think I said it. I don't think I said them out loud. I think
yeah, she's a question asker, right? She will ask a question, and to the point that I could even be like, all right, I don't even want to answer no more questions about it. But that was such a pivotal moment because for me it was about getting free.
Yeah.
About getting my name, back. I had been the lieutenant in the Navy. I'd been the lawyer at the big law firm. Now I could be Maoli Davis, whoever that was going to be, because it was, I could be that. And then for me, her saying okay was saying okay to so much, of okay. She was saying okay, not just to the business concept, but allowing me to be like, okay, it's not like I didn't have any entrepreneurs in my family. My mom was a teacher. My dad played, basketball. So when she said okay, it was like a real faith leap. And I think what I've tried to remember that in whatever it is, has started businesses and done, schools and schoolings. And I tried to just say, okay, I want to offer reciprocity. Okay, go ahead, let's do it. And then she's done it. And I think that's what has allowed us to build with each other by just continuing to say, okay, go ahead. And I got you. I never heard, and I don't think we've ever had, and I told you so. Stuff has, there have been stuffs that she'll hit me with some wisdom and I can be hard-headed, and I think vice versa. But I'm never, I told you so, and I never heard her tell me, I told you so. It's just been like, all right, we got to move from there.
Yeah.
And, yeah. So.
Oh, and that one is important. All right, we need to take a break. This is good. This is real good. And when we come back, I'm going to dig even deeper in terms of how you all have become the successful power couple that you are. And just so grateful that you all are willing to be honest and vulnerable and open and sharing. So if y'all know somebody that needs to be a part of this conversation, y'all know the people that's talking about getting married and talking about being in a committed relationship, and those who are in one. They need to be a part of this conversation. So y'all come on back and join us. COUCHversations with Dr. Adrienne on the Jericho Broadcast Network.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
Are you?
Adrienne, what was your aunt's name? Oh, okay.
Ophelia Garrett Hill. Hi. Welcome back to COUCHversations with Dr. Adrienne. Y'all already know that during the break we have conversations, and sometimes we come back on here and we are in the midst of talking, so it's all right. But welcome back. I am talking with this wonderful power couple, getting all in their business, and they are sharing a lot of nuggets and their honesty and their true, authentic selves with us. Hopefully, it's going to really strengthen some relationships. So, let's see where I'm going on my list of questions now. So we kind of talked about managing conflict a little bit. So what do you see as the most important components of a lasting relationship? What's the formula? If you had to come up with a formula, what does that formula look like?
I think for us, still being intentional about having fun. We like to dance. And so, when pre-COVID, we just up and go to a local spot and do some people watching.
50th last year. That was like one of the highlights of 2020 for me.
Thank you. It was a blessing to have you there to celebrate with me too. But so that, I think that has been, we work hard. I think we are intentional about playing hard too. And we will plan, my parents divorced when I was 9. And so I would, make my annual trip down south to North Little Rock to visit my relatives. And there were some other trips that we would take, but like there was never a trip with like my mother and father when they were married. So that was something I always wanted to do. And so that became a thing for us, our family trips. And so I think the thing that we talk about this is creating good memories. Mm-hmm. And we say that and we are intentional about that. And so that would be my thing, that, create opportunities for you to create good memories.
Okay. Molly?
I think just dreaming together, we dream. I mean, and see, life is full of people, full of dream killers and dream stealers. You know what I mean? Just people who, if you say it, they'll tell you why it can't happen. Mm-hmm. But Jana lets me dream, and I hope I let her dream, mm-hmm. because that's so much, because it's your imagination, and we got about 4 or 5 different houses we have to buy all over the world. And I saw one of them here in Vancouver just today, and I was telling her about it. And she didn't discourage me and say, how are we going to do that when the boy just wrecked your car? She didn't say that. But I think dreaming together and enjoying each other's company, that's the biggest thing, that friendship where you like, like I just enjoy being with you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
and then we also revisit those memories. We'll do that, and maybe that's part of the whole. I don't know if that's part of the dreaming thing, but we will just sit and talk about these. We'll go down memory lane, and I remember maybe our very first marriage counseling session, and the therapist asked us, what was our wedding day like,
Mm.
and it was magical,
Mhm.
but just to take us to that place,
Right.
affirmed, why we were there.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's what, revisiting those memories does.
Yeah.
It affirms the relationship, and gives us, new memories to look forward to.
One of the things that I often tell couples when they initially come in and they are, a lot of times at odds, disappointed, angry with each other, hurt. And I'll say, if you can hold on to why you fell in love in the first place, if you can always keep that at the forefront of your mind, it makes getting through the hard times much easier. But if all you concentrate on is the negative stuff that you're trying to deal with, then that's what grows and looks like the biggest part of who you are.
Mhm.
So, what about spirituality? I haven't heard y'all talk much about spirituality.
I,
Jamie.
I think that we are both spiritual. You know, when we first married, and I was a member of Trinity, so we both grew up in church. Molly was raised a Catholic. I was raised AME. Mama's very, very involved in their churches, and grandmothers. Um, and so, you know, I think as Mauli was coming into his revolutionary consciousness, he kind of stepped away from the church for a minute. But once we got back to Atlanta, we joined different churches till we found, finally settled on where we are now. But all good experiences at all of them. Um, and then, I think we both believe in African spirituality. Um, and the way that I know a lot of folks that probably saw the Black church last night, but the way that we have been able to adapt Christianity to um, fit our experience here as African descendants. And so it has been important. When I was pregnant with Kobe, Mauli would put his hand. I had developed a cyst during the 4th month of pregnancy, and so they were going to take this cyst out, which jeopardized the baby. We weren't sure if Kobe would make it, and so every night Mauli would literally put his hands on me and pray.
Mm.
And so the day before I was scheduled for surgery, my mom had flown from Chicago to Rhoda, Spain. They did one more ultrasound right before the surgery, and they couldn't find the cyst.
Mm.
And so I believe that he prayed it away.
Mhm.
And his grandmother was an evangelist and would lay hands on people and heal people in that way. And so I think that's a gift that he also has too. But I think our faith I've had health challenges, but each time, even though I have been very, very sick, I knew that I would get through it.
Mhm. Because
Even
you
when
had a praying husband.
I had
Through
a praying
COVID, you've been
husband,
praying.
and I had faith in a praying mama, and you know, church members and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But spirituality, I think, has played an important role in our relationship.
Yeah. I think that
I think
spirituality. Okay, go on, Molly. Go on. I,
now
I'm
I,
I'm just
this,
gonna say I think that spirituality, you know, regardless of whatever religion you practice, but serves as a part of your fabric and the tenements of how we treat each other. inside of conscious coupling and what that looks like in terms of the basics of respect and kindness and love and forgiveness. And, all of those are a part of that spiritual walk. And I think that, the true test is being able to practice those things in the midst of the real stuff that happens inside of conscious coupling, which, as you all alluded to, can sometimes get heated and uncomfortable, So I think that spirituality piece is pretty important. Yeah.
I mean,
Molly, what were you about to say?
it pulls me back, it pulls me back. I think Jana made the point that my spirituality has been a journey in terms of, always believing that there was and continue to be a supreme being, and that knows has a source. There's the source of power, and that process, so I'm multi, I don't know what the exact language is, but I practice, from a religious standpoint, different religions, but it's all one spirituality. So I've, you know, deal with Christianity, deal with Ifa, deal with, the African root of it all, and that is, when you think of our ancient ancestors, you think of Ma'at and reciprocity and balance and order, and when I'm off, I tell Janice, like, remind me of who I say I'm supposed to be.
That's right.
Remind me. Is that is that Ma'at? Is that what Jesus the Christ, the African revolutionary, would do? Like those are challenges that call, I think, us to ourselves, because it's different from what you espouse and what you do,
right,
and how you act. And I think it is, as you would describe, I think it's an anchor. I really think it's an anchor in not getting too crazy with anything. You like, okay, now that couldn't align with what I'm teaching my sons, or what I'm saying. I'm off. So yeah.
So let me ask you what you feel about, and then we're gonna come back and talk about intimacy now, because we got to talk about that when we're talking about what you all see as these components. Now we're gonna talk about intimacy, because I know that the top 3 relationship killers are sex, money, and children. So we're gonna circle back around to intimacy, but when it comes to being a critical friend, because everything that your mate wants to do, you're not going to necessarily agree with. You may not necessarily feel like it's the best decision for the family. And, when you have a strong woman and a strong man, sometimes that can probably be presented with its challenges in terms of how to offer up your opinion and be a critical friend, and the other person not feel like you're criticizing who they are just because you're not agreeing with what they say.
Hard. Very hard. Very hard. And we have, that's a challenge space, where it's like, because we naturally want to be supported by the person that we're closest to. Like, there isn't, Jana's the closest person in my life, and so you want that person, that relationship, you like, I really do need you to be like this for me. Right. But there are times that she can't be, I can't be, because I'm like, I don't know if you're looking at that the right way. And that's not always well received.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. Jana, what were you about to say?
No, I agree with what he said. It can be difficult. And I think I have learned to pick and choose my battles. Like, he may not think this, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm just it's not worth the tension. This issue is not worth the tension. And then there's some things I'm just like, I have to say it. But then I have learned that it's not always worth it, that I don't have to comment on everything, and it won't, I know it won't be received well.
I like to say, I encourage people to ask whether or not something is that they want to say is necessary versus optional. And so, is it relative, and is it relative being KIN, which is kin. So relative, kin going together. So is what I'm about to say relative, kind, important, and necessary. And so a lot of times the things that we want to say that we view as important don't necessarily add value to the relationship. And so, I think that you grow to the place where you are, Jana, where you say, you know what, I'm not even getting ready to have this battle right now. I call them hot topics, and I tell couples all the time, stay away from hot topics. If you know that all hell gonna break loose when you bring this up, just step back from it for a minute and decide whether or not. But I think it becomes important that couples don't run from things that need to be discussed, because I think a lot of times the flip side becomes you sweep so much stuff under the rug and it leaves room for somebody to become resentful because we're not talking now. So let's circle back around to intimacy, because a lot of stuff goes wrong because of people not being able to get on the same page in terms of their definition of intimacy and then their display of intimacy. And then even in terms of, the old adage, don't go to bed mad. That I remember at my, bridal shower that so many of the elders gave that advice. I'm like, whatever you do, don't go to bed angry. And I was like, yeah, that one went out the window the first week. It was a wrap with that one. But, now as I am more mature now, that's a desire that I have, because tomorrow is not promised and you just don't know. So, yeah. So speak on this intimacy thing and you all's approach and all of that. Don't give us too many details, because we have to have that conversation on COUCHversations with Dr. Adrienne, where it goes down after dark. We just got to keep it a little clean here.
Well, I do my best to try to find no Jana every chance I get.
That's true.
Groper.
Because you can do that and not get in trouble as your wife.
Hey, just, hey, let her know I'm here.
Right.
I'm here. I'm still interested.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep the doors open now.
Keep the fire burning. Keep the fire burning.
Keep it burning. Keep it burning.
But so what about when you're angry?
Oh, I have a friend who says that you resolve your conflicts through intimacy. He doesn't say it quite that politically correct.
Right. I can only imagine. I think a lot of males think that way. And, and a lot of females tend to think, like, if I'm upset with you, the last thing I want you to do is to put your hands on me. And Jana is shaking her head.
But I will say that, Maoli is really, he doesn't like to go to bed angry. He likes to try to resolve stuff as quickly as possible. And sometimes I'm kind of like, I can't just, turn it off that quickly.
That's that Aries and Capricorn in y'all.
But he is good about that. and to the benefit of our relationship and trying to make it right. And then he'll do it in a kind of silly way and start getting me laughing. And then, we're able to move through things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that part is important in terms of just having a physical connection. Because I'm not even talking about sexual, but I'm talking about intimacy is the connectedness. Because you got to have something as your foundation when things go awry. And things will go awry, sometimes, because we're human beings. So we don't have the ability to be perfect and to not ever offend our partner. But I think that depending on the foundation that we build inside of the relationship, that gives you something very steady to stand firm on, so that when things get a little rough, then you don't just focus on the roughness, you got that other stuff. Okay. So when we come back, we're going to get into some advice that you all would give to some folk who are consciously coupling, some folk who thinking about it, and some married folk who know good and well they need to be doing some work so that they can make the decision and make this thing work. So when we come back, we're going to have some final thoughts from you all just about some of the lessons you've learned and a few different things for our listeners. So please come back and join us, COUCHversations with Dr. Adrienne. Real talk with real people for real solutions.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
I'm returning Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
True Black Essentials is a retail opportunity to bring Black businesses under one roof, where every product on every shelf in every aisle will be Black owned and Black produced by people all over the world. Statistics show that the $1.3 trillion of spending power that we have as Black people can easily be turned into each Black person having $2 billion if we were to shop Black for 2 years. So True Black Essentials will launch an e-commerce store on November 1st, 2020, but we will open up brick and mortar stores in Atlanta, New Orleans, Charlotte, Houston, and Jacksonville, with the very first store opening in Atlanta, June 19, 2021.
We've had to.
Welcome back for the final segment of COUCHversations with Dr. Adrienne, the Power Hour Conscious Coupling. And I have an amazing power couple that has joined me for this first segment, the Davises, who are doing the darn thing in a lot of ways. But, very conscious couple in terms of their commitment to community and just making changes in the world, but have been together for a very, very long time, met at the tender age of 13. And here they are now in the 50s and still doing this thing. And so they have been sharing some nuggets and some wisdom. And so in this final segment, I got a couple questions for them. So I want to know, what advice would you give to, first of all, somebody considering commitment? What would you say to the couple that is considering commitment? Hadn't taken the plunge yet, but now we're thinking about it.
You marry families. That's one of the things that I think as an African people we were always clear about. It's not an individual thing. And I think the more we buy into these kind of Eurocentric perspectives, the further off we get from what's healthy for us. And so you really do marry families. You know, I married Jana's mother, father, her cousin, her cousins in Arkansas. You know, all of that. We you know, they're my cousins, and that mindset, and we have to get back to that this is a joining literally of two families. And so I used to tell my cousin, you want to try to find somebody's who has a family don't have quite as many issues as yours. But that's hard, right? Because we'll be, you know, if everybody followed that advice, we'll nobody get together. But I think, you know, the family is because that's the support system.
Yeah.
You need people who gonna root for you.
That's
you
right.
know, we need Jana and Mawuli fans and supporters, not Jana's fans and supporters and Mawuli's fans, but Jana and Mawuli's fans and supporters. We've had that through our friends too, you know, and that's been important. You know, I don't know of any of Jana's friends who have not encouraged. You know, they always are pushing and encouraging us. You know, and vice versa. My boys, you know, they always, you know, they're not trying to take me off. They trying to keep me on. Like, hey, this your people. I'm your people. So I think that's critically important.
Yeah, I feel like I hit the jackpot with Molly's family because they've always treated me. I mean, I've always known that they've loved me since day one. I mean, you know, through high school and everything. And so that has been a blessing for our relationship. I would, you know, I guess the other thing is that, you know, are you ready to put in the work?
Yes.
You know, people say marriage is a hard work, but it really is. And you have to work at it every day. You know, I often tell the story how I thought that when I first got married, I thought that there'd be a point that we would just be a well-run machine. We just, you know, things would just always run smoothly after we had gotten to a certain point in the relationship. And, but that's not it. Every day, you know, we have to work at it and we have to choose each other. And I think that has been important, is that even when, you know, even through those rough patches, we have continued to choose each other. And that has made all the difference. But yeah, are you ready to put in the work?
Are you ready to put in the work? And for individuals who are already consciously coupled or married, what advice do you give to them?
To continue to make each other a priority. You know, we say, Molly?
I said, keep having fun. Keep trying.
Having fun.
Keep doing the stuff that you all thought was fun.
Yeah.
When you started, don't change up, you know, and you see it, you see comedians talk about meeting representatives and you know, folks doing stuff that they were just doing it, you know. I mean, keep doing the things that you all enjoy when you were first dating. Those you know, if it's bowling, if it's roller skating, you know, don't you know, that priority piece is critical, especially when you have children. You know, so many of people that we've been close to, children have, you know, people in the marriage will divert all of their attention and energy towards the
Consume.
children, and then forget about, you know, who they had the child with.
That's right.
And that becomes a real problem because you know, and keep creating, let the house and the home continue to be a safe space. You know, make it such that there's a place of peace where
Yeah.
you can come, and you know, because there's warfare out here.
Woo!
And
It's
you got to be,
confusion outside of the home. You don't need the confusion inside of your home. And that does not mean that you always agree inside the home. It's how you disagree inside the home that keeps the peace. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
say.
Oh, all right. So, what is one of the greatest lessons that you have learned from your partner? Y'all know I'm gonna bring something that's gonna make you just sit there for a minute and say, doggone.
Oh,
I'm gonna let y'all think. And I'm gonna run through these 7 things to do with your partner to keep the relationship strong. That's gonna give y'all a minute to think about. Number 1, take vacations together. Vacations provide an escape from the daily grind to find fun, enjoyment, and relaxation. Number 2, have regular date nights. And some of this stuff Molly and Jana have already said, and this is a part of why their story is a success story. Number 3, share in each other's important moments. It's comforting to have someone to share in your success who can support you in your disappointments. Number 4, tackle challenging experiences as a team. Teaming is a great way to grow in your relationship while learning more about each other. Number 5, do chores together. It provides balance for the responsibilities so that one person doesn't feel overwhelmed and overworked at pulling more than their 50%. Number 6, regularly talk about money. Money remains the number 1 relationship stressor. And number 7, indulge in each other's, I don't know what, I can't even read my own handwriting. Something. Taking a genuine interest in your partner's interests communicates that they matter and that you're interested in what makes them who they are. Oh, hobbies. Indulge in each other's hobbies so that they know that you think that what they like is important too. So that's just 7 things that you can do together, because you know 7 is the number of completion. So I like to do lists in 7. So now, what is one of the greatest lessons that you have learned from your partner?
I would say how to be a good child. Like I think Jana is an exceptional daughter. You know, for her father and for her mother, she goes hard for them, and she's really intentional about that, and it, you know, makes me have to, you know, try to be a better son for my mother and father. But I think I really have learned what that looks like, you know, that commitment to being, you know, a real, you know, just a real stand-up child.
Yeah, that's a good
one. Thank you, Maya, because he's an exceptional child also. But you know, I think Molly has made me try to be a better friend. I mean, he will show up for people, you know, and as busy as he is, you know, if you sick, he's gonna come and visit you. I mean, he'll go back to our neighborhood where we used to live in College Park and visit our elderly neighbors. And the way that he has shown up for me, you know, through all my health. I know that Molly never wants me to feel alone. And it has been a theme that I have seen, you know, even when right after I had Kobe and we had this emergency C-section, we're expecting to have it. And you know, they took COVID, but he wanted to stay there with me to make sure that I was okay. You know, I have been in the hospital where he had to be all fully masked up and in gloves and everything, and he was sleeping on the little chair let out thing and holding my hand so I wouldn't feel alone. And so you know, he has really made me want to try to be a better friend. So I try to be more conscientious as folks are going through challenges and reaching out and checking in and things like that because of the example that he has set in that way.
Yeah. I appreciate you all. You know, I tell y'all all the time, y'all one of my favorite couples, like in the whole wide world. And tonight, I even learned more about you all, but it was reaffirming for me why it is that God placed you all on my heart, because I am a spiritual person. And so, you know, I just try to wait to be led to do whatever it is that he wants me to do. And so I know now why it was important for you all to come on as the very first guest for the Power Hour, because you all met at such a young age, and certainly you have not made it to 25, headed to 26 years without some challenges. But the wisdom that you all have provided and the insight and the encouragement in terms of what the formula looks like to do this thing, because when you got two imperfect people, and we're all imperfect, you don't ever create a perfect relationship. You just create the relationship that you're willing to work at to make sure that at the end of the day, you got his back, he's got your back, and you all are the strongest of the union, and everybody else is on the peripheral, all the other activities, all the other people, all of that. That's the supporting cast, but you all sit in the seat of the starring role. So I appreciate you all more than you know for being here. And I know for sure that somebody's life has been touched, and that when it comes to conscious coupling, you all have certainly given our viewing audience some things to think about. So last words, tell the people where they can find you all, because y'all do some pretty important stuff in the community. You ain't really talk about it, but y'all some superstars.
Well, thank you. I just want to say again, thank you, Adrienne. It's such an honor. You know, I don't look at us as, you know, in that way. We're just trying to figure it out every day, like everybody else. But thank you for thinking of us in that way. I will say that Miley has a new book. I can never do this well. Okay. He has a new book out
Okay.
called We Need You, Encouraging My Son's Generation for Black Liberation. It just came out a couple weeks ago. And
that's what I'm talking about. Be his cheerleader. Be his cheerleader.
It's a phenomenal book. He mixes his experience and makes connections to our national and ancestral leaders and lessons that he has learned, and to try to inspire our son's generation to keep engaging in the movement to liberate Black people. And so it's available at Molly, what's the website?
MollyDavis.com, and it'll be available on Third World Press. So his doc, this is the beauty of it. We talked about Haki Madhubuti over 30 years ago, telling us to build something together. And it's his publishing company that publishing my book. So it's just a full circle. It's such an affirmation in terms of, you know, having Third World Press based in Chicago publish the book. So, and I'll just say this, Doc. I appreciate you and the fact that you would have these kinds of conversations, because as revolutionary as we want to be, we don't get to have a nation if we can't build a community, and we don't get to build a community until we build a household, and we don't get to build a household until we build a marriage and a family and a unit. So, and I mean, whatever that family unit looks like, you know, but it's got to be a collective. And your work is a important work, and it's revolutionary work, because it's not, you know, folk aren't comfortable talking to counselors and therapists, you know, and we have to embrace that.
Yeah.
And so we're grateful for you and for what you do and for this platform to help build our families and communities and ultimately a stronger Black nation.
Well, I appreciate you all, and I know that at some point I will be calling on you all to come back. Probably gonna ask y'all to come over there to COUCHversations with Dr. Adrienne, where it goes down after dark, where we gonna keep it real and funky for the grown people. So that will be starting in a few weeks. But again, love you all and appreciate you so much, and appreciate all of you for tuning in to COUCHversations with Dr. Adrienne on the Jericho Broadcast Network. Listen, next week we are moving to 8 o'clock because my producer Roy said that sometimes some things slip out of my mouth. And so if we start at 8 o'clock, we are less likely to get in trouble. And so next week's show, you don't want to miss this. It's entitled Love After. And so I've got some guests who are going to be talking about some finding love after divorce and just all sorts of things. So make sure that you come and you visit with us as we end this series on love for the month of February next week, starting at 8 p.m. So you don't want to miss it. And again, thank you, Molly and Jana Davis, for being here. I love and appreciate you all so much. And thank you all for being here with COUCHversations with Dr. Adrienne, real talk with real people for real solutions. Good night.
Good night.